When our phone rings, many of us will decide whether or not we're going to pick up that call based on the number we see on our caller ID. Fraudsters know this, so they are faking those numbers to get you to answer their call. These spoof calls can be frustrating and costly if you're not prepared. Investigators say the crooks are banking on you engaging with them if they can get you to pick up the phone. So they're using apps and software to disguise their phone number as a legitimate one you might trust. In Colorado Springs, Susan says her caller ID has lit up for medical providers, Fort Carson, and even the Air Force Academy, but when she answers, she often identifies a scam.
It came in as UC Health, and I was expecting a call for the COVID vaccine because I'm signed up as a registered patient there. Somebody spoofing those numbers and then trying to sell you solar panels for your roof, or trying to get you to give information, personal information. I just hang up on them and tell them that they're breaking the law by spoofing these numbers, and they laugh at you.
If you still aren't convinced spoof calls are a problem, look at some of these numbers. Experts say 58 to 60 million of these calls go out to people in the U.S. every year. That breaks down to roughly 113 calls per person. Investigators say the scam callers are going off of marketing research that says if you see a number on caller ID that you recognize or identify it as a local number, you're 60% more likely to answer that call.
How the spoof technology works, it's either an app or a software program. And what the scammers will do is they will find a legitimate number that shows up on your caller ID. So this number could be, they could grab it off a website. Now, the key is to not engage in any manner. So if you answer the call, or if you do answer the call, don't click anything, because what that does is that tells that computer that you are a quote unquote human. And that actually opens up the floodgates to probably 2 or 3 times more calls and more emails, etc.
I'm told some of these calls are tricky, and the recording will say something like, press 2 if you'd like to be put on our do not call list. But in reality, by pressing a button, the scammers now know you'll interact with their calls, so you'll actually be more likely to hear from them on a regular basis. Again, the best advice is to hang up when you notice something isn't right. So you might be asking yourself, if we know so much about these crimes, why are they so hard to stop? Fraud experts tell me it all comes down to law enforcement jurisdiction. For example, if the scam caller is in California, the person receiving the call is in Colorado, but the people behind the software allowing this call to happen are in New York, which law enforcement agency should take that on? It creates a lot of confusion. The best advice, again, is to hang up if you get one of these calls and not to engage, but to report it. The more reports investigators get about calls like this, the more likely they are to invest resources into tracking these callers down. Always watching out for you, Southern Colorado. Patrick Nelson, News 5.